Hi, everybody. I'm Natalie, and I wanted to get into my full thoughts of the Curse of Hester Gardens. If you're new to my channel, I'm Natalie. Okay, girl. I am a book talker, book influencer, and a lover of reader of mostly all things, especially if it's pertaining to Black people or BIPOC people. Okay, so one of the books that I would just want to dive into because this book just literally sat in my soul and my spirit for weeks, almost a month now, I believe. I think I read this in the beginning of May, and it just touched my soul. It's The Curse of Hester Garden by Tamika Thompson. And when I say this thriller was just enough of a thriller to make you gasp and make you think, you definitely got to get into it. So this book follows Nona. Nona had three sons. They live in a projects in Detroit called Hester Gardens. And it's believed that the souls that leave the earth, or the people that leave the earth there, their souls don't leave. It's a very tough project. It's the Hester Boys, that which is a gang there. And it's just a lot going on in that project. And one thing that Nona is trying to do after losing her eldest son is that she wants to get her two remaining sons out of the gutter. Okay. And sometimes that just doesn't happen the way they want to. It was all types of stuff going on in this book. Okay, you had like the stove pilot light come on and start flames. You had people seeing things in the hallway. You had people seeing images and people or shadows of people throughout the projects. And again, there was a lot of violence in this project. So Nona was also married to a man that ends up being incarcerated. And let's just say that something prior happened with her husband, someone, and Nona witnessed it. And some souls, like I said, just walk around with unrest. They have unfinished business. And this is a book that definitely talks about unfinished business. Some of the takeaways in this book that just had my chest pumping was that you have Marquise, I'm sorry, Marcus, that which is her second oldest son, who got accepted to an Ivy League college. He's graduating. She just need him to like make it through the summer so he can get to college in the fall and get out of Hester Gardens. Okay, that is her goal. But Marcus is dealing with grief. He's dealing with heartbreak. He's dealing with frustrations of his environment and the people within his environment that cause havoc and get away with things. And I do believe that there was a somewhat of a connection between one of the spirits and Marcus throughout this book. But Marcus just had his own thoughts on society and guns and how they're looked upon in the black and brown community, in the white, black, and brown community. And I just want to read something to just give you a mindset of where he was in his thought process. Because when you read this book, you will find that he definitely possessed a lot of the characteristics of a white person executing the same mission that he had, but regardless of it being executed the same way, it was still looked upon as, or being stereotyped as, criminal activity in society. Basically, that's the best way I can put it. So I just want to read an excerpt of a letter that he wrote. And remember, Marcus is a Ivy League accepted teenager going to a prestigious school. Well, that's the plan. This is what he wrote. 13 kids die every day in America by homicide, most of them killed by guns, and yet no one looks at white and black killers as one group. They always separate the two. And this is the point that he made. They section them off as mass shooters, school shooters, and urban criminals when they are all a byproduct of the same violent country. That right there just made me sit and think, because they don't group them together. It's almost like a mass shooter is like glorified to this heightened person, um especially if they're white. And then when someone of color do a mass shooting, it's like a criminal. They just looked as criminals, or like uncivilized people that you expect to do that type of action within the community. And he definitely vocalizes his thoughts in this book. Another thing that really grasps me in this book is the Hester Boys. The Hester Boys is the gang that is notorious in running amok within the Hester Gardens projects. And the reason why, the reason why it like got to me is because I was following the Julio Fulio case. I don't know if you guys heard of that. You can look it up, where this rapper was killed by a group of black men that ran somewhat in a gang, and one of the people that unalived him was getting revenge for a family member. And it just brought in the sense of their mindsets of why they partake in those activities. And in this book, it's almost like it's a spirit, like there's some type of possession that gets into their body and they can't shake it, and that's just what they do. Like it's just like they end up becoming like possessed. You know what I mean? And I thought about it because when I was looking at the case, it was like, did they ever like the mindset of doing what they did, like they like to unalive somebody, you have to be like, to me, in an out of body experience to want to unalive somebody else. That's just my thoughts. In addition, in this book, you have the youngest son who is, don't want to be a part of the Hester Boys, but he has his own friend group, and they're not the best of the best. And I think he's just frustrated of being in the projects and not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Nona does a really good job of doing what she can to make sure that her son does not fall short like her eldest son. I believe his name was Kendall, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to say it wrong. It's so many takeaways in this book. You also have a reporter that is a family member in this book that has to deal with about how he wants to run a specific story about gun violence within the community as well, and how it's looked upon, and how he actually has to fight to get his pieces out to the world because of his news company about gun violence. Another takeaway in this book that really blew me was the mindset of all the mothers who lost their sons in Hester Gardens, and how it's like they lean on each other, but it's almost like an oh well type thing. Like it becomes like so numb that it's like it's almost expected. You know what I'm saying? The way they go about day to day life, and how they just lose children, and how they have to become a community with each other. This book also deals with mothers turning the blind eye a lot because you just want to see the good. I think Nona definitely took too long to really realize what was going on with Marcus. I think she was just focused. And also, you have a villain in this book named Peter. Peter's family also too just let him do what he wanted to do, and there was no repercussions. Again, it was the mindset of the parents and them just not seeing a way out and just being a full product of their environment in this book. So many thoughts. And I don't want to give a lot of it away because I want you guys to read this book for face value and see how it was so well written in what is going on in society today, and how we look at certain things, and how people really have a tough time leaving the product of their environment. You know what I mean? And parents thinking that they're doing the right things. Um, and I do believe people do become possessed. I believe that when people are wronged and it's an unsettling, unexpected death, that, spirits linger and some things just don't get any rest until it's rectified. I enjoyed this book so much. It was so well written, it was so well put together. And again, like it's a book that stays on my mind. Um, the way they just talk about Black youth getting out of the projects, the mentality of some people, how things can, especially of people becoming possessed. Um, there's something that happens in this book that is very parallel to how one race does something, and no matter how much is done almost the exact same way, even though I feel like it's kind of vilified in this book, where it's almost as if someone does a mass shooting, it's like they kind of give them, I don't want to say they glorified it, but they give them more leniency to make it look like it's not as bad as a person of color do it. Um, it's a lot of unaliving in this book. It's a lot of spooky parts in this book. It's a lot of like I said, unfinished business in this book. You have some people um, having moments when they are reunited with certain things, and they, have this out of body experience where they experience the demons or the shadows and the monsters in the dark within the Hester Gardens apartments. Another thing that I enjoyed about this book is the cover. This is a flame. I really would love to talk to Tamika and understand the flame, that which to me represents the spirit in the house that never left. Um, Also, too, if you take a closer look, this is supposed to be Hester Gardens. If you look at it, to me, it looks like a prison. To me, like it looks just like a prison, like a photo of like a prison. It doesn't look like the projects. And if you ever look at old school projects from the 80s and 90s, they look like prisons. And I think that's just the mindset that white society wanted on black people, to let them know that you are going to be confined. This is your space, and you're going to be locked behind it forever. And you also have generational curses too. Like, some people just never left Hester Gardens. Like, it just never happened for them. And I get that as well. So I definitely enjoyed this book. This was so, 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 so good. It spoke on so many things. Um, it's my 6-star read. And I want to also say, this is my first thriller. I cannot wait to read another book by her. Also, she's a journalist as well. So you can definitely tell that in the writing in this book, that which I love. You can see I was tabbing. Another takeaway too that I wanted to get into is how people that are supposed to be for the community hide behind their status, and they're a part of the mix. Everything that smiles in your face isn't good, and that is something that really came to my light recently when I think about Carmelo Anthony, the young man who is in prison now, the 17-year-old, because he, I believe he protected himself from being jumped by the white Texas student. Um, Unfortunately, both of their lives are now gone as of right now. But it was someone in his camp, I believe it was the pastor in Carmelo Anthony's camp, that people are now saying like gave him really bad advice and things with the GoFundMe account, and that it wasn't genuine. And there is a character somewhat similar to that. He kind of has his hand in something else, and he is actually somewhat a part of the problem. But he's supposed to be the face for the people. So if you haven't read The Curse of Hester Gardens, I hope you get into it. It's definitely going to have you grabbing your chest. You are going to be scared when you read this book, because there were some moments I was just like, whoa. And the audiobook is really, really, really good. I did enjoy it. She really acted out the parts as well. It was very spooky. But besides it being very spooky and very thrilling, it just heightened it more when you think about all the things that has happened in the world that is so parallel to this book. You know what I mean? So I don't look at people that do things where they unalive people the same. I do feel like it's a possession, like they get possessed, and that demon and that spirit just comes in them and just takes over. Because when the dust settles, if you ever watched the Julio Fulio case, I felt like when the dust settles for that young man, the light-skinned dude, that spirit that was in him to do all those things left, and now he's dealing with the reality of it. Now whoever that spirit was that was in him to possess to do those things, and now he's paying the consequences, I feel like has now left, and now he's going to prison. You know what I mean? So I definitely you know, uh, understand the concept of this book and what she was trying to do. And I enjoyed it. So please get into The Curse of Hester Gardens. I hope you like this review. If you have any thoughts, if you've read this book, or you have any questions about this book, I try not to spoil it. Regardless of what I said, once you read it, you're still just going to be in awe, because I didn't spill anything in how it's written. But if you ever want to like have commentary about it, just say something in the comments, because I did enjoy this. Peace out.